Hey, and welcome to We've Got This, the podcast, the place, the space to be. On here, we get real, we get raw, and we get honest about what it's like to navigate this life from a faith-based perspective. This journey is not easy, but with him, we've got this. So I'm your host, Lisa, and let's get into it. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of the We've Got This podcast. It is a new year. Happy 2024. I hope you guys have been having a great time so far. Well, actually, it's probably not the case for most of us since we just got back to work. There's a whole lot of new things going on here at WGT. First of all, we got a new logo. Yay! So you can see that literally everywhere you're watching this from, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, you can see it on your phone and stuff. So yeah, we got a new logo, we got a new angle. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see me. I'm at the center of the screen. I've always been in the corner, but now it's time to get in the center. I was trying to figure out a good angle for my microphone and we figured it out. And so yeah, we also have a TikTok. And so yeah, you can watch stuff over there. We got a TikTok at We've Got This _podcast on TikTok. And yeah, it's a fun time over there. Definitely post more over there than on Instagram in terms of video content. And Instagram's also got a name change. It's now We've Got This Collective. That's because Instagram is going to be more than just for podcast clips. You know, I was thinking about this and thinking about what this platform is supposed to be. And it's more of like, it's great. It is a podcast. It starts off this way, but obviously there can't be podcast episodes every single day. And so what happens the other 6 days when there aren't any podcast episodes? And so Instagram is going to be more of a place where you can go there. You can positively add to your journey and to this journey that you're going on every day. Over there's resources you can use to strengthen your faith and obviously to that make this walk a bit easier. Other creators that you can watch, other creators that I love and that I watch from time to time. Other podcasts that I listen to as well that are faith-based, encouraging verses, of course, guys. We are here for the word of the Lord. And yeah, so just pouring into your journey with God, of course. So that's what's going to be happening over on Instagram. And that's why the name changed. And yeah, so I think I've talked about everything I needed to talk about in terms of new things. So this episode is going to be split into two, just to make it easier for you guys to be able to take it in and comprehend it. I know we are a generation of short attention spans. So I'm not going to make you sit through like a whole 30-minute thing or a 30-minute plus thing. Like, it's okay. This episode, as you can see, is called Creating a Vision. And so we're going to talk about vision boards, goal setting, all these like new stuff that you want to adapt into your life. How are we going to get that? How are we going to achieve our goals in 2024? How are we going to not just write them down and like leave them there and not actually act on them? How do we actually get forward with this? And what does God have to say about that as well? Me personally, I never used to believe in vision boards. I thought it was a whole bunch of hoo-la-la, and I thought it was rubbish, and I thought it was nonsense, and I thought that it was like, okay, yeah, putting pictures somewhere together is not really going to do anything but have a day where you feel like you're doing the type of things that you should be doing, but it's not actually going to get you anywhere. And so last year, the beginning of last year, 2023, in January, I was like, you know what? One more time. I'm going to give it one more shot. I'm going to create a vision board. Let's see if these guys are like being serious or not. Because I was like, maybe I just didn't go about it the right way. Maybe I just didn't understand what I was supposed to be doing. Or maybe I just didn't get it, you know? And yes, I decided to make one last year. And like slowly by slowly throughout the year, things would come to pass and I'll be like, dude, stop. So that's how I place it. I have it, once I create a vision board, have it as the wallpaper for my laptop like forever. For my other devices, I don't do that, but just my laptop specifically, because usually when I'm opening my laptop, I'm about to do something serious. So it's like a constant reminder there. And then I have it printed out on top of my desk. So those are two places where it exists. Everywhere else, it doesn't exist. But yeah, so I would be looking at it from time to time and being like, hold on, didn't that come to pass? Hold on, didn't I figure that out? Hold on, ain't this what happened? And so slowly by slowly throughout the year, it's like I could replace the pictures on the vision board with myself. And I was like, stop it. Stop. That is crazy. This is insane. This is getting a bit scary. I didn't achieve everything on my vision board, but I achieved like about 75% of the things that were on the vision board. And I was like, this is rad, bro. This is pretty cool. This is pretty nice. For example, in the beginning of the year, I put a picture of a girl who was staring at the Eiffel Tower. And at that time, I had no idea that I was going to go to Paris. I knew I wanted to go to Paris, but I didn't know it was going to happen that year. I just put it on there because I was like, aesthetic, and I might go to Paris. I want to go to Paris, right? And it happened. And there was another picture as well of like friends on a trip. And it was specifically 3 girls taking a picture. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll put all the pictures up. And they were taking a picture of the airplane. And what ended up happening is me and my 2 other girl cousins ended up going on a trip to Paris together for a festival. Festival didn't work out, but the trip to Paris still happened, and it was with 3 people. I was like, another one of my goals, clear skin. Really wanted to hack a skincare routine that would be very manageable, but also still very effective on my skin. Worked out. And so I'm just saying, just simple, small examples where I'm like, hey, don't knock it till you try it, is all I'm going to say. Why do we create vision boards, right? What is the purpose? What's the point? And especially from a believer angle, because it can be like, okay, yeah, you're creating all these things, but you should be praying, or you should be this, you should be that. Not saying all of those things are not true, but doesn't mean that you can't do that and have a vision board at the same time. It just depends on how you go about it. And so I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to do that this year. Why we create them is more of like, it makes it plain. It's there for you to see. Like, you can't run away from your goals, because it's writing them down and keeping them in your diary is great, but you're probably going to forget. Or keeping them in the notes app is great, but you're probably going to forget. But translating the goals that you have down into a vision board is probably the easier way, just for you to be able to continue remembering it, right? Seeing is believing, guys. When it's there and you can see it and you're constantly reminded, like, oh yeah, I need to work on achieving that this year, A good example is, especially when it comes to writing things down, Prophet Habakkuk in the Old Testament, in the book of Habakkuk, as he's having a conversation with God, he says this. So in Habakkuk 2, verses 2-3, he says, "Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak, and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry." And so specifically that part, write the vision and make it plain on tablets. Because when you engross yourself in an environment somewhere, right, or in an environment, and you have something that's like kind of like a constant reminder, then you're more likely to see it come to pass. Why is this the case? It's because it sits in your subconscious. It sits there, it exists there, right? And so you'll find that your subconscious is basically working at this thing in the background without you fully realizing it. As you're creating your vision board, and even if you've already created it, still go back to it and look at this stuff with this second point, is what's your foundation? Like, so what is the foundation that you're building these things on in 2024? There's a story that Jesus tells in the New Testament, and he tells this thing of like someone who builds their house on a rock, right? In Luke chapter 6, verses 47-48, he says, "Whoever comes to me and hears my sayings and does them, I will show you whom he is like. He is like a man building a house who dug deep and laid the foundation on a rock. And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently against that house and could not shake it, for it was founded on the rock." So this plan that you have for 2024, what is it founded on? Is God in this vision, or is this just you being like, I want to get money, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to have a car, I want to... Especially if you're living more of a faith-based, or you want to live more of a faith-based life. For example, for me, the main difference between my vision board last year and my vision board this year is that this year, my vision board has one, of course, many more Bible-related things, whether it's quotes or verses or different things that stem from it. Because last year, if you watched the first episode, I was not on that. So last year's vision board did not, probably why it didn't all come to pass. It was not really built on a rock. Last year's foundation was sand. But so at this time around, it was quite an experience for me trying to now like making a vision board, but having like including God in it. And I was like, okay, so these goals that I have, one, are they biblically backed? Like, it's not like I'm trying to go and do certain things that aren't really in God's will for my life. Because you have to remember, like he says, even in James 4, it's repeated, and James says, you ask and you don't get. So you pray and you don't get because you're praying for your own pleasures. You're not praying for the glory of God. And that's the angle that you have to take when you do this, right? Does it glorify God? Do your goals glorify him? Will your goals bring you closer to him? Are they still part of the path, ensuring that you walk in wisdom, love, and light? Or are they going to lead you down a certain place? Because if they're going to lead you down a certain place, they're probably not going to come to pass. Another thing is being taught to wait, right? If there's something that God has put on your heart and you put something at God's feet, when you put something at God's feet, you leave it there. You don't go and keep checking up on it and be like, oh, is it, sir? I just want to double check that whatever I left here is still there. No, you don't have to do that, right? You leave it there and you let him deal with it, and you just sit patiently. You do what you're supposed to do as a believer. You continue your life. You continue seeking him. You continue spending time in his presence, and it will come to pass. He's got to now start mixing things to make sure it comes past the right way and not in a way that will harm you, right? And so how do you ensure that God is in the vision? There's 3 ways that you can ensure that God is in the vision and in your vision for 2024. The first is keeping him in your heart. He says in Proverbs 3:1, I'm paraphrasing, but my commandments, keep them in your heart, right? Keep the law of God in your heart. And so as you keep God in your heart, then your goals are more likely to please him and to glorify him as opposed to not if you've kept him there already. The second one is to pray and communicate with him often. How will you know? How will he guide you through this year? And how will he guide you to your goals if you're not communicating with him? If you can't hear him, you have to remember that prayer is a 2-way thing. There is you asking him, and there's also him talking to you. And you got to wait for the part where he talks to you as well and tells you how to do these things. That's what wisdom is. That's part of wisdom, right? You got to listen, hear what he has to say. And he says a lot, like if you read Proverbs, where it says incline your ear and listen to it, like almost tilt your head and ensure that you're also listening to God as much as you're asking him for things. And that's where the guidance is. That's where the guidance sits, in your ability to listen. Because if you can't listen, then girl, how he gonna guide you? How he gonna guide you if you can't listen? And the third one, committing your plans to him, right? In Proverbs 16:3, it says, commit your works to the Lord, submit and trust them to him, and your plans will succeed if you respond to his will and guidance. And why I like the way the Amplified Version is the Amplified Version usually kind of like translates or like makes a certain segment of what you just read more clear and makes it more clear in brackets. It's not included in the original text. Commit your works to the Lord. It says submit and trust them to him, right? So that's submitting them. And when you trust them to him, it means you leave them there. And then it says, and your plans will succeed. And then in brackets, it says, if you respond to his will and guidance. If you respond to his will and guidance. Cannot respond to his will, cannot respond to his guidance if you don't listen. And this is further emphasized in Psalms. In Psalm 37, it says, commit your way to the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. So you have this common theme of committing things, trusting in him. Trusting in him is really important because if you trust in him, it means that you trust that these things will come to pass, right? It means that you're not going to continue going on and checking whatever you left at his feet. And going on and nitpicking and being like, oh, are you sure? I'm not sure if God fully heard me. He heard you. And he's working on it. But he also wants you to be patient and wants you to wait up and wait on these things, Some things come quicker than others. Some things you got to wait for, For example, if you want like a really big house, but you're still a student, that's going to take some time. It's not going to happen instantly. It takes some time for these things to also come to pass. So you just also got to be patient and trust that he's taking care of it. So that is the end of the first part of the episode. And yeah, I'll see you guys in part 2.